make sure that they keep everybody safe and make it a great dining experience for those coming in because, they appreciate the customers and the support that the customers have given them through this trying time. One thing, though, that I do want to just have as a word of caution is that we have been also telling our small businesses that while we're opening up, there could be another closure. You just never know. So we always want to make sure that they're still keeping up on their social media, they're keeping up on their website, the ability to order online, and things like that, and also teaching their customers, maybe PayPal versus cash, things like that, so that if there is another closure, we're better prepared for it, and we can still maintain that there are sales flowing through the system.
Yeah, I'm certainly ready to go to a restaurant. I'll tell you that. I've been talking for a week or two about how we're a social people here in Iowa. We like to get out. We like to see each other. We like to do this, that, and the other thing, and we haven't been able to do much of that.
Exactly.
Getting groceries has been the high point of my week here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So to have the restaurants open this weekend is kind of a big deal, and I look forward to it. Is it just the restaurants or the bars too, or what?
Nope, just restaurants right now. The way the proclamation states is that you're looking at restaurants that they'll still have to, even in the seating areas, there'll still be 6-foot distance between tables. And then also some of them will have, some of the servers will have some PPP on, and it just kind of depends. Each restaurant may be a little bit different when it does that. But then also, if you are going out, they are requesting that, no parties larger than 6 because they can't accommodate that. And, some of them may just have call ahead. And if you get there and it's already full, I encourage you to just say, hey, I'd like to do curbside to go then. That way you're still helping them, supporting them, even if you weren't able to get in there this time. Maybe you can get in there the next day.
Well, that's always a good thought. That's always there's probably going to be some restaurants you're not going to be able to get in. People have been regulars at that restaurant for a long time. And now that I don't know, how many weeks has it been? 6-7 weeks since the restaurants have been closed? There's a lot of folks going to be going, I know.
Absolutely. And remember, they can only be at 50% capacity. So we have to take that in consideration, that even if the parking lot doesn't look too full, there still are rules that they have to follow. So they're just trying to do their best and follow the rules, and we just need to be as supportive as possible.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Certainly. There is a time when you kind of have to rally around your town, and I would suggest this for everybody in the listening area. I mean, if you're living in Callender or Gowrie or Humboldt or Badger or wherever you're living, I mean, these folks, these businesses don't. Money doesn't grow on trees. You just don't go out in the backyard to the money tree and pick off a bunch. And
right.
you have to be open and competitive and ready for business. And boy, due to this coronavirus thing, COVID-19, we've been really at a standstill. I understand it had to happen, but I'm not. I'm just glad that the restaurants are going to be able to open. That's all. What other businesses are going to be able to open besides the restaurants? I heard, was it fitness centers or not?
Yep, you're going to see some fitness centers. Places like American Legion and things like that are not going to be able to open any type of social gathering. You still have to adhere to the 10 people or less. So I know some people have asked about graduation parties. How are we going to do those? I know for my daughter's graduation, we're just going to do a drive-through, so at least people can wave and we can say hi, we can talk a little bit. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but, it's a different time, so we have to just adapt. Other businesses, some of your retailers will be open, and they will have also the 50% rule, 50% of occupancy. Some of the ones that I've spoken with are actually going to do less than that, just because they don't have the ability to really move very many racks around. And so they're trying to figure out some flow patterns so that it's still a good customer experience, but yet they're still keeping everybody safe.
Now, are places like Foley Clothing, I think they're our last privately owned men's clothing store, are they going to be able to be open in Brown Shoe Fit right next door? I mean, that's pretty much where I get a lot of my clothes from Foley. I get my shoes, of course, from Brown Shoe Fit from Craig out there. Are they going to be able to open or not?
Yes, retailers like that, you would have to check with each individual retailer to see what their hours will be, because it would still be a limited hours of operation. But according to the proclamation, they will be able to open their doors and have people come in. Now, remember, everybody still wants to maintain safety, so individual business owners may have different protocols that they put in place just because maybe, the type or the nature of their business and what it lends itself to. So be patient as you're helping navigate through some of this. But, yes, those stores definitely will be able to be open.
All right, Lisa Simcat's our guest, and she's with the Iowa Small Business Development Center. Ladies and gentlemen, here at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Give us the 5-day challenge one more time.
Absolutely. It's Monday through Friday this week. We're very, very excited. Today is Support a Local Artisan. Tomorrow is Write a Google review for your favorite small business. Thursday is buy an online gift certificate to use at a later date. And then Friday, send 5 small businesses a caring message. So it's a call to action for us as consumers to show those small businesses we're supporting them. And there's so many different ways you can do it. So we have all different ways, and we're just appreciative that you're helping us get the word out. So thanks very much, Mike.
Not a problem. So we look forward to talking with Lisa Simcat again in the future. We can do that, can't we, Lisa?
Absolutely.
All right, that's way cool. Lisa Simcat, director of the Iowa Small Business Development Center. Local. How long you been the big girl there, Lisa?
I've been with SCDC for 15 years, but I'm a state director for 6.
Well, way to go. Okay, well, we're real proud of you for being state director.
Well, thank you much.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Do you ever get tired of watching bad things happen to people?
Sticking up for you when no one else will.
Woo, good. A little grease can improve your bottom line. Hello, everyone. I'm Rhiannon Branch with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. A representative with CHS Lubricants says grease is often one of the last things farmers think about when maintaining their equipment, but proper greasing can help improve your bottom line. In this Managing for Profit, Mimi Folkman will outline the importance of regular greasing and what to look for in a quality product. More after this on Brownfield.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nia Hurd-Garris with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. As parents, we want our children to grow up healthy and strong. That means helping teens take responsibility for their health as they become young adults. One way to do that is to make sure they have one-on-one time with their pediatrician. That helps them become comfortable talking about any health issue with their doctors and with you. So make sure to give your teen a voice. It's good for their health. For more on teen health, visit healthychildren.org.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Kids are full of energy, but keeping them active in their teen years can be a challenge. Aim for an hour of physical activity every day. If they like sports, that's a great place to start. Keep the focus on fun, not winning, and encourage your child to do a variety of activities. If your child isn't meeting that 60-minute goal, gradually increase their activity in ways they enjoy. For more, talk with your pediatrician or visit Healthy Children.
Barrier on equipment parts.
Grease is critical because it creates a protective film or a barrier, basically, over those hard-to-reach components where for longer periods of time than they normally would, or maybe under conditions that have more moisture or dirt. They should really check their equipment before heading out just to ensure that all of those key components are well greased and they're prepared for what those conditions have to throw at them. A high-quality grease is built and manufactured to stand up to those conditions. So on the Cenex side, we build our products for our farmer owners, and so our Cenex greases stand up to those intense heat pressure moments.
And she says using a high-quality grease product is crucial.
Well, there are 2 things that farmers really need to consider when they're looking for a new grease.
And
First,
she says using a high-quality grease product is crucial.
There are 2 things that farmers really need to consider when they're looking for a new grease.
And she says using a high-quality grease product
that they're operating in daily. So when you go to that shop, when you go to that store and you're looking for a new grease, it's extremely important to, one, have the thickener of the grease product that you're using in your equipment currently, and also just be open to potentially a different type of thickener. As long as those 2 thickeners are compatible, your piece of equipment will be protected. I've had a lot of customers where they think they're using the right grease and, they're experiencing intermittent downtime, or, they might have to take their piece of equipment off because of a bearing failure. But when they switch to a high-quality grease, they didn't have that issue anymore. So they're increasing their efficiency. They're increasing the time that they're spending in the fields, and they're not worrying about spending money on any type of wear or those components that might be affected by a low-quality grease.
That was Mimi Folkman with CHS Lubricants, and I'm Rhiannon Branch with Managing for Profit on Brownfield.
The great American outdoors are right outside your back door. With battery power made by Steel. Save $40 on any AK Homeowner Series double battery bundle. Shop online, pick up at any of over 9,000 local Steel dealers. Find yours at stihldealers.com. Offer valid for a limited time at participating dealers while supplies last. See dealer for details and consult state local guidelines for availability of promotional products and pricing in your area.
Today on This Old But Still Nice House.
Hey, I'm going to start on getting that paint off the windowsill.
Wouldn't do that. This house was built before 1978. That's probably lead-based paint.
I don't think there's enough here to make a difference. Can't I just do it?
Sure, we can start the Lead Professional Certification Program on the Iowa Department of Public Health's website. Or we could just go to the site and find someone from their list of certified professionals.
Seriously, stop scraping. Find out what happens on the next episode of This Old But Still Nice House.
I've been farming my whole life.
I don't need somebody to come out here and state the obvious.
I don't need anybody to explain my farm to me.
My local co-op works with CHS, and they know what I need when I need it.
A global network of support.
Local expertise.
And valuable market options.
We need a co-op that's here for us.
So we can own every day.
When you're an owner of a local cooperative connected to CHS, you get local expertise, a proven, efficient supply chain, and global market access. Learn more at cooperativeownership.com.
Social distancing, self-isolation, quarantine. The changes from COVID-19 can be hard to handle. Call Iowa Concern for help 24/7. Connect with emotional support. Learn about your legal rights and find other assistance. Talk to a person who cares. Call Iowa Concern at 800-447-1985. That's Iowa Concern at 800-447-1985.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. After the news broke last week of 25 employees of the Prestige Foods plant near Eagle Grove testing positive for COVID-19, the Wright County Board of Supervisors has issued a statement that says that the Wright County Board of Health has requested additional testing for antibodies to further assist in the evaluation. The state of Iowa has agreed to provide the supplies for testing, and the statement says that the Wright County Public Health Department, along with Iowa Specialty Hospital and Clinics, will be offering COVID-19 antibody testing to all Prestige employees, along with a number of medical and first responders in Wright County beginning this week. Those 25 positive cases announced last week were from residents of 5 different counties, 18 of which were from Black Hawk County. None of those 25 people were showing any symptoms of the virus at the time of testing. The statement that the Board of Supervisors released today says the goals of this antibody testing is to reveal who may have previously had COVID-19 and recovered, to reveal those who have not had COVID-19, to recognize any ongoing vulnerability, and to provide public health officials a better idea of community spread and immunity as we move through the COVID-19 pandemic. Unity Point Health has announced a change at the top. The company released a statement on their website on Monday that said after more than 20 years of dedicated service to Unity Point Health, Kevin Vermeer has chosen to step down as president and CEO to pursue other opportunities, effective at the end of April. As Unity Point Health continues to confront the COVID-19 crisis, the organization remains dedicated to serving our patients and community. Senior Vice President Sue Thompson has accepted the Board of Directors' request to serve as interim CEO. Vermeer assumed the CEO role over 4 years ago. Randy Easton, the chairman of Unity Point Health's Board of Directors, said, "We greatly appreciate Kevin's leadership and service over the past 20-plus years. Strong, innovative leadership is critical now more than ever. We're fortunate to have Sue Thompson taking the helm during this time of transition." Thompson brings to the role more than 3 decades of extensive leadership experience. She previously served as the Fort Dodge Region's CEO for Unity Point Health. The board of directors said they'll launch an extensive national search for a permanent CEO in the coming months. From Radio Iowa, organizers of the Country Thunder Music Festival have decided to postpone its Forest City event due to the continuing uncertainty.
It is Mike Devine.
You got to give me
Um,
about, you got to give me 3 or 4 minutes here, Congressman. I'll be right with you.
All right. Should I call you back in about 3?
Why don't you do that, please?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Together, and everyone's working as if they believe that for sure.
Country Thunder Iowa is partnering with families of the fallen for the Forest City Festival. A portion of every ticket sold will directly benefit the nonprofit organization. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We're going to talk to Congressman Steve King here in just a couple of minutes. First of all, in the weather, I've seen better, and I've seen worse here in Iowa. So we've had a little bit of all of it today. 61 degrees right now. Should be mostly sunny the rest of the afternoon. Maybe we'll get to 71 degrees. Going to be windy, of course. There's a chance of rain a little bit later on. Our low overnight will be 45 degrees. Tomorrow, a chance of rain, mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny with a high of 63. Thursday, sunny with a high of 70. Friday, sunny with a high of 77. Saturday, sunny with a high of 73. On Sunday, chance of rain, otherwise sunny with a high of 71. Monday, a good chance of showers and thunderstorms, otherwise sunny with a high of 66. Right now, 61 in Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Frances Woban of Fort Dodge has died. She died at the age of 99. She passed away on Monday. Services are pending for Frances Woban, 99, when she died on Monday. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. 2:37 at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Congressman Steve King is next.
I'm Phil Gunderson. Gunderson's has a tradition of providing services unmatched in our community. Funeral, cremation, and pre-planning services with certified celebrants on staff, aftercare, video, and customized printed goods that are the standard. We offer live streaming options and community support with remembrance and educational programs. When it's time to look for a funeral home, look to Gunderson's.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
We stand for people, progress and pride.
We're the Iowa Farm Bureau, and we support farm families. We're a voice on local, state, and national issues. We're also committed to making rural Iowa a better place to live and keeping Iowa farm families on the farm.
Michael Devine.
You're very clever, my charming little friend.
With more stimulating talk radio.
But not clever enough.
Well, I've got the stimulator-in-chief with me today. That is Congressman Steve King. How are you, sir?
I am doing just fine, Mike, and I'm wishing that for everybody in your listening area.
Yeah, it's a decent day here. Are you in Iowa or back in Washington, D.C., or where are you?
I am in Iowa here at Base Camp Kyron, where I have been all but 2 days since St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, that's outstanding then. Outstanding. Well, I suppose there's not a lot of mixing going on in Washington, D.C., is there?
No, I mean, I went out there last week, and it was a little surreal to go into the airport and wander around and think that there was hardly anybody in the place. And then I went Omaha to Minneapolis. Minneapolis, I boarded a big plane, and there were only 3 passengers on the plane, so we had a flight attendant for each of us, although they didn't have anything they could bring us.
Oh, no. Wow. It is.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the effect of the coronavirus and COVID-19 on the state of Iowa and in agriculture specifically, of course. President Trump has put a temporary hold on all immigration to our country. Is that a position that you agree with or you would support?
It was a position that I encouraged strongly before he made that decision, and I pumped that message into the White House a number of times in a number of ways. And then when the president made that decision, I supported it. Yes, it's pretty easy decision to make when you think we have 32 million unemployed Americans, and there's 26 million of them came as a result of the decision to shut our economy down in the way that it was. And so, with all of that unemployment, with people whose businesses are going to be gone, whose jobs are going to be gone, or maybe are gone right now, the effort to rebuild that again, the difficulty in finding jobs for recovering American citizens, you just can't, with a good conscience, ask American citizens to compete with newly arriving immigrants, legal or illegal for that matter. So I think the right thing to do is take care of Americans, and let's get our economy squared away again, and then take a look.
Well, I think that's absolutely correct. I already have a question for you. One of my Facebook friends sent me a message, and this one says, I'd love to hear from Representative King why Thomas Massey is in the lead on helping out the farm industry, but he hasn't been nearly in front of it. I have to tell you, I don't know who Thomas Massey is, so you better handle that one all the way.
Okay. Well, Thomas Massey he's a brilliant young man. I call him young. He's probably around maybe late 40s right now. He's an MIT engineering graduate. He holds a whole number of patents. I don't know how many. I used to. And he's got his own farming operation down in Kentucky where he raises some cattle and other products down there. And he's a libertarian, about as pure a libertarian as I know. He's a constitutionalist. He has a deep conviction and a good set of values, and he's also got a great sense of humor. I don't hold against Thomas Massey the decision he made when he actually forced a lot of members to come back to Washington to vote for that $2.2 trillion, that first rescue package, the first big rescue package that we did. He has the constitutional authority to do that, and we should recognize and respect every member's decision to run their own show and make their own decisions. I told him, I support your right to do it. I'm not endorsing the logic that got you there. And but he knows a lot about agriculture. And by the way, I'm working with Thomas Massey on a bill that we've been on together for, 3 years or more, that would allow any of the local locker plants that are slaughtering livestock and processing it into meat to break that meat down and sell it by cuts retail, as opposed to just doing custom butchering for individual customers. That would open up at least some of the slaughter capacity for the country that's in such bad shape. And I'm also working with our Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Naig, on a method by which we could get the state Department of Agriculture to step into the shoes of the USDA and establish a memorandum of understanding so that qualifying lockers would get the USDA stamp on meat that was inspected by state inspectors. And that would allow them to export meat of all cuts out of the lockers here in Iowa. What it would do is it would create a boutique meat businesses all over the state and country, just about the same way we have the boutique breweries and distilleries and wineries that have emerged in the last, say, 20 years around the country. So that's Thomas Massey, and he's one of 435. He's an independent and a free thinker, and I always respect those people that are creative, and sometimes you have to harness them just a little bit.
Well, this is Congressman Massey then, from that incident a month or so ago, or probably longer. So much has changed, so much has happened in 6 weeks that seems like ancient history now. But
well, and Mike, on top of that, if I could say, that Thomas Massey forced people to come to Washington to vote on a $2.2 trillion bill when they wanted to pass it by voice. And I'd have been happy enough to let it pass by voice, just for the record. But this next bill that came around that was about $500 billion, it was the leadership that called everybody to Washington to vote. And nobody is squabbling about that. So maybe there's a difference in between whether your logic is a leadership logic or an individual's logic. But it made more sense to vote on a $2.2 trillion bill and not pass it by voice than it did a $500 billion bill.
Well, just for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I don't like attention-getting stunts, whether they're conservative or liberal. I mean, I understand Congressman Massey had to make a point. That's his right, as Congressman King has pointed out, but I'm not much for these sort of stunt things. Anyway, let's move on to the ag economy. There is a concern that the food supply may be in danger with what's happening in our packing plants. Of course, we have a lot here in Iowa. We have one 17 miles from us. There's that huge one up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. You know the situation. I'll tell you, it's one thing to be short of toilet paper and Kleenex. It's another thing to be short of meat in the market. That sort of thing starts happening, and just like the Bolsheviks, you'll see people in the street, and there'll be something spontaneous happens. I don't think any of us want that.
Mike, I recall going to when we presented the Congressional Gold Medal to Dr. Norman Borlaug, who was the founder of the Green Revolution and the reason that Iowa is the World Food Prize. And his speech there that day, he was about 90 years old when that happened, and his speech was, he said, "Hunger and poverty give rise to all kinds of isms, none of which I can think of are good." And that was a profound statement that he rolled out that day, and I certainly agree with you. Our food production, our meat production, is in a very difficult situation right now, and I've spent all my waking moments dealing with this, and I guess a few things on the side that all has to do with COVID, but it's really been consumed on the meat side more than anything else. And Sioux Falls, I want to say that in the neighborhood there at Eagle Grove, the Prestige plant, and the leadership in Wright County, from the mayor of Eagle Grove on the county supervisors, the county health people, the list goes on, and the manager is Jerry Knoll at the plant in Eagle Grove. They are doing a terrific job. They got caught with some positive tests, and more or less by rumor, they thought we better test some folks, and they did. They found 18 positive out of a universe of 62. And so they decided we're going to quarantine all these people, and we're going to test everybody else. By the end of this week, I believe they will have tested everyone for the virus and for the antibodies, and they'll know who's got the antibodies and can go safely into the workforce, and how to segregate. And I just find them to be there's nobody as good as they are that I can find. The other side of that coin is Sioux Falls, which you mentioned. 20,000 head a day, about twice the size of Eagle Grove, and they still do not have a plan to open that plant up, and they've been down for, 17 days or something by now. And the mayor is squabbling with the governor, is squabbling with the local health department, is squabbling with Smithfield. And then, of course, Smithfield has a link to China, and some of us think that slows down the decision-making. And so it is a mess over there. And they had 600 positives in their work crew and another 300 positives in the housemates of the work crew. And at this point, I don't believe they have all the tests that they need to be able to clean the plant up and get going. So it's much more deep than that. But I've been dealing with the politics of it, the medicine of it, the livestock piece of it, the logistics. And I sadly tell you that tomorrow morning I will be in Worthington, Minnesota. And there we're going to start euthanizing market-ready hogs, heavy hogs that cannot be held any longer. And it's a sad circumstance. We referred to it for 3 weeks as the unthinkable because we didn't want to say it, but the unthinkable is upon us. And we're going to be faced with the euthanization of hogs that can't get into the packing plant, that get too heavy, to the tune of 1 to 1.25 million. And if you laid them end to end in Minneapolis going south down I-35, those hogs that will be euthanized in the next few weeks would reach all the way to Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah, Congressman Steve King is our guest. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Who thought we'd be talking about the unthinkable? Still, we have those piling on President Trump and the government in general to keep everybody not only inside, but more restrictions on our behavior and our movement. Now, this has a decidedly political overtone to it. And there's something deeper going on here. The trust and the absolute insistence that the experts run our country. Now, I'm not taking a shot at Dr. Fauci, and I have complete respect for many people in the medical field, but they are not our leaders. And I want to make that clear. My point being is that the political leaders of this country who are elected get to make these decisions. And yes, sometimes politics will seep into this, but the medical leaders will only tell us what they believe is the best medicine for the country right now. But that they don't take into account what we're talking about with these packing plants. They don't take into account a man I talked to 2 weeks ago who's been in business in downtown Fort Dodge for over 20 years, and he doesn't think he's going to make it. His business is off 80%. But still we hear this drumbeat that Trump and the administration are a bunch of boneheads, and that we should, again, listen to the experts. I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the experts focus on a very narrow area. But Congressman King, you're kind of with me sometimes when I start talking about when I delve into my paranoid conspiracy theories. This is one. This is one of them, where it seems to me the cultural left in this country is once again trying to assert that unelected professionals should, in fact, have the final say on how we govern ourselves and how we behave.
You know, Mike, that comes at me from my Twitter account. I see that. It's like, who do you think you are? Do you think that you're a doctor? Why do you think you have an opinion on medicine? And I read that and I think, why do they think that doctors ought to call the shots? I mean, I listen to these doctors from the first days too, and I'm sure these are smart folks, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx in particular.
No doubt.
I don't have it, but and yet, as you said, the old story is if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, if your total focus of your life's work is on medicine, even on pandemics, then you only look at the medicine. But I began using the terminology, the point of diminishing returns. And once you start down this path of shutting down the U.S. economy and say shelter in place, if you sheltered everybody in place and put them in a sterile bubble, over time you would shut this virus down. But at the same time, there's a price in many other facets of our economy that we have to deal with. So, for example, economics, that's not hard to come up with that one, but that's part of the decision too. And if you don't keep your economics going, people die also. We've got to have a strong economy for a strong national defense. There's a psychological impact of the stir craziness that's going on. At some places, it's murder rates going up, it's domestic violence going up, and then the mental health piece of depression that's a component of it too. So at what point then do we put this all together? And in the end, who has the deciding factor over economics and medicine, the value to our culture and civilization, our freedom and our constitutional liberties rolled into all of that. And it becomes, when you put all those titles together, you end up with, it's a political decision. It's not a medical decision any longer. But you want all the medicine information that you can get, but also the economics, the psychological, the cultural, the constitutional, and you've got to look into the future and see what's America look like and how was it changed because of this, and did we give up freedoms that were so preciously fought for with the blood of others, or are we so afraid of a virus that we're willing to sacrifice constitutional principles and over the long term? And I say, no, let's go back to work. But here's something that's missing here, and I've been pressing a number of the executive branches, including the White House and Terrace Hill, for that matter, and just to get the information that we need in order to make good decisions as under the guideline of personal responsibility. I'm very glad the governor issued the order she did today to open up 77 counties conditionally, but it's a prudent order. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the president having declared the Defense Production Act and said open up the packing plants. Those are two big things that happened in the hour before we go on the line. I'm happy with that, but we're going to go out and go to work, and we don't know what our risks are. and the data kind of exists. It just hasn't been compiled. So we went to work and went to every state's website to see the breadth of the details that they had published. It's not all the data they have, but it's all that they made public. And in the 50 states, there are 3 states that are collecting the data on pre-existing conditions. Now, that's not nearly enough, but it tells me that at least somebody was thinking about some of this. What I want all that data. I want anybody that's tested positive, I want their birth date recorded, their sex, their height, their weight, so you can calculate their BMI index, any pre-existing conditions. What's the outcome? Were they asymptomatic? Did they recover at home? Did they go to the hospital? And then from there into the ICU, from there, did they go on a ventilator? And from there, did they go home recovered, or did they go to the cemetery? Those categories, with the data that we should be collecting now, would let any of us go on a website, tap in our pertinence, our birth date, our height, our weight, our pre-existing conditions, and that computer will spit out for you the prospects that you have in front of you if you contract the disease. Maybe you've got a 10% chance of being asymptomatic and a 20% chance of being of recovering at home, and a 30% chance of going to the hospital, and of that, a 50% chance of going into the ICU and a 50% chance of going on the ventilator. By the time you get to there, what percentage go to the cemetery? I want to know that. I want everyone to know that so that they can make their decisions on their own health, Mike. It's personal responsibility.
Congressman Steve King is our guest. What do you think of the idea that the federal government is only there to supply the states with what the states need? That to me, that sounds like that gives the governor of a state the power to tell the federal government what they need. We need these supplies now. Get them to us immediately, without any quality control at all. Just get them here to us, and that's all. That ends the job of the federal government. I've never heard anything like that before.
Well, I'm working with this euthanization of hogs, and the federal government gets deeply involved in that. They were deeply involved with the bird flu that we had in 2015, and I think they need to be involved in these kind of decisions too. But none of this would be an issue if the governors and the executive branches between the states and the federal government worked together in a cooperative fashion as envisioned by our founding fathers, and didn't use a crisis to try to one-up one another and gain a political advantage over these circumstances. When I look at Governor Cuomo in New York and President Trump doing battle on a semi-regular basis, I just think, can you trust the decisions that come from that? Because when they're politically motivated, then you just have to be suspicious of it all. And I got suspicious immediately when, very early on, perhaps even as early as January, Democrats were calling this the Trump virus, the Trump virus. That told me they were going to try to gain a political advantage over it. That got suppressed over time, and I regret that those kind of frictions take place. But where you have good leadership and cooperation and good leadership from the president to the governor on down, you get things done. And again, one of those good examples is Wright County, where there's cooperation at all levels, all the way up through, and the president hasn't had to get involved there yet because they're all doing their job in that chain of command.
Your old friends, the media, especially in the print media, don't make an issue of the fact that the Democratic Party has been, from the onset, trying to make political hay out of this entire tragedy. It's a shocking breach of the public trust, I think. And yeah, I'm talking about Pravda down there in Des Moines. They haven't talked about this at all. They haven't, and our own newspaper hasn't really talked about it at all either. Somebody needs to call these people out and remind them that we need to pull together during a time like this when we have this hidden, unseen enemy. Anyway, Congressman King is our guest, and we'll have Congressman King back after the news. Sir, give us a call back at 310, please.
Will do. We'll talk to you then. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, sir. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Crisis or opportunity? You get to decide. Thousands are losing jobs, but could you turn this crisis into a better life and do it all from home? A 39-year-old entrepreneur from a billionaire family spent $20 million in 5 years to find the best home-based business in North America. When he found the only one with real long-term potential, he bought it. And right now, he needs you. Write this down. GoHereNext.com. Income based on performance, not politics. GoHereNext.com.
Well, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Steve Peterson of the Webster County Farm Bureau will be on at 3:40 this afternoon. And I believe we'll have Councilman Andy Fritz on right after Steve at 4:40. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The news is next. Congressman Steve King right after the news. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Thank you for listening.
If you're into cars or just want to learn a thing or two, tune in every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 for the Under the Hood Car Show on AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Another state takes the plunge. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. Alabama's governor, one of the latest to decide it's time to begin easing restrictions.
There are still new cases each day of coronavirus disease in Alabama, but
we have seen stabilization, a leveling off, if you will, in the amount of cases. Like everyone else, I look forward to easing back into our routines with caution.
Governor Kay Ivey will allow her stay-at-home order to expire Thursday evening to be replaced by an order allowing retail businesses to open at half capacity and with orders for everyone to wear masks.
Obviously, no one's going to arrest you if you don't, but it's just good, sound medical advice, and it's for your safety.
Eben Brown, Fox News.
The U.S. now has more than 1 million coronavirus cases, and New York is still the epicenter with nearly 300,000.
We want to reopen, but we want to do it without infecting more people or overwhelming the hospital system.
And Governor Andrew Cuomo says federal and state guidelines, including social distancing and testing, will be the new normal for businesses that want to reopen. Despite the millions of jobs lost in the pandemic, President Trump says some 30 million jobs have been saved by the federal government's help, including a small business loan program.
This loan program is actually increasing in the speed at which it's going. We're talking about 475,000 loans have been approved since 10:30 Eastern Time yesterday morning. $52 billion has been processed through the Small Business Administration.
Fox Business's Edward Lawrence. However, some smaller banks are still reporting processing problems. Another high-profile backer for Joe Biden, former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, just endorsing him in a webcast. America is listening to Fox News.
Ahoy! Ahoy! Yoo-hoo! Ahoy! 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 Ahoy there! Ahoy! 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 In the name of the great Neptune! Ahoy!
The tides can turn quick on the water. Progressive's boat insurance has you covered with basic plans starting at $100 a year. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Annual premium for a basic liability policy not available in all states. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Do you want to learn to speak a new language but don't have enough time? Then you need to try Babbel, the language learning app that you can try for free right now at Babbel.com. Babbel's lessons are just 15 minutes or less, and you can go at your own pace. You'll be amazed at how easy Babbel makes it. Start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Just download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com now. That's Babbel.com.
Nearly 2 years after a duck boat accident killed 17 people in Missouri, federal safety investigators release probable cause findings.
The NTSB's investigation into the 2018 sinking of the tourist stretch duck boat 7 blames the owner and Ripley Entertainment's continued operation despite a severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect that day on Missouri's Table Rock Lake.
Ride the Ducks should have had specific guidance for the operations team to determine when to suspend waterborne operations.
The NTSB panel also urges the removal of canopies and side curtains on duck boats. 9 of these 17 people killed were from the same family. 3 people face charges, and more than 30 wrongful death lawsuits have been settled in the case. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
NASCAR gets a green light in North Carolina. The governor says the Coca-Cola 600 can be held at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the end of May, unless health conditions deteriorate. But the race will happen without fans in attendance. As the president touts the success of a small business loan program, another bigger business is returning money.
Hot dog maker Nathan's Famous is saying no thanks and is giving back a loan for over $1.2 million that the company received under the government's Paycheck Protection Program. Nathan said it returned the money after the Small Business Administration issued new guidance last week that larger companies with access to outside capital should return the cash if they couldn't demonstrate it was necessary to maintain operations. Nathan's is among large companies including Shake Shack, Ruth's Chris, and the Los Angeles Lakers to return funds in the past week. Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
After an opening rally today, Wall Street heading for a mixed finish as the numbers settle. The Dow's been higher, but the Nasdaq lower leading up to the close. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. After the news broke last week of 25 employees of the Prestige Foods plant near Eagle Grove testing positive for COVID-19, the Wright County Board of Supervisors has issued a statement that says that the Wright County Board of Health has requested additional testing for antibodies to further assist in the evaluation. The state of Iowa has agreed to provide the supplies for testing, and the statement says that the Wright County Public Health Department, along with Iowa Specialty Hospital and Clinics, will be offering COVID-19 antibody testing to all Prestige employees, along with a number of medical and first responders in Wright County beginning this week. Those 25 positive cases announced last week were from residents of 5 different counties, 18 of which were from Black Hawk County. None of those 25 people were showing any symptoms of the virus at the time of testing. The statement that the Board of Supervisors released today says the goals of this antibody testing is to reveal who may have previously had COVID-19 and recovered, to reveal those who have not had COVID-19, to recognize any ongoing vulnerability, and to provide public health officials a better idea of community spread and immunity as we move through the COVID-19 pandemic. Unity Point Health has announced a change at the top. The company released a statement on their website on Monday that said after more than 20 years of dedicated service to Unity Point Health, Kevin Vermeer has chosen to step down as president and CEO to pursue other opportunities, effective at the end of April. As Unity Point Health continues to confront the COVID-19 crisis, the organization remains dedicated to serving our patients and community. Senior Vice President Sue Thompson has accepted the Board of Directors' request to serve as interim CEO. Vermeer assumed the CEO role over 4 years ago. Randy Easton, the chairman of Unity Point Health's Board of Directors, said, "We greatly appreciate Kevin's leadership and service over the past 20-plus years. Strong, innovative leadership is critical now more than ever. We're fortunate to have Sue Thompson taking the helm during this time of transition." Thompson brings to the role more than 3 decades of extensive leadership experience. She previously served as the Fort Dodge region's CEO for Unity Point Health. The Board of Directors said they'll launch an extensive national search for a permanent CEO in the coming months. From Radio Iowa, organizers of the Country Thunder Music Festival have decided to postpone its Forest City event due to the continuing uncertainty surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. Festival spokesperson Jerry Krochak explained the decision.
It's just a little too soon to go. We're just following the guidelines that have been laid out for us. We think by moving to Labor Day weekend, it gives us a chance to, to put on the kind of world-class event that we want to. It's going to be a big first year for us in Iowa. Good things come to those who wait. We're going to wait a little longer.
The festival was originally scheduled from June 12th to 14th, but now will take place September 4th through the 6th at Winnebago Park in Forest City. Have all been reconfirmed for the new date. All ticketing and camping options will be honored for the rescheduled dates. One of the things that impressed the organizers of Country Thunder was the Iowa spirit and willingness to work on getting the rescheduling done.
We've already seen, as soon as we made this announcement, we had all of our folks in Iowa calling saying, let us know what you need and let us know how we can help. We're in. That's America. That's what we've come to expect, and it's such a great feeling knowing that people, have your back when you go through this. And I think it's just an overall understanding of truly, and I know it's become a cliche, about that we're all in this together and everyone's working as if they believe that for sure.
Country Thunder Iowa is partnering with Families of the Fallen for the Forest City Festival. A portion of every ticket sold will directly benefit the nonprofit organization. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Daytime highs approaching 71 this afternoon under mainly clear skies. Winds out of the northwest 20 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy skies. Tonight, chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows around 45. Chance for scattered thunderstorms. Tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 63. Ample sunshine expected. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 61.
During this challenging and unprecedented time, Gunderson's is here to serve with expert guidance and understanding to each family and their unique needs. We provide options for funeral, cremation, memorial, virtual, and webcast services, either presently or at a later date. We understand that grief does not wait. We are trained to help you walk this path to bring comfort and support. Every life deserves to be recognized and celebrated, whether it be together or afar.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. We're on the air with Congressman Steve King. He returns with us. How are you, sir?
Just fine, Mike.
I'm
Glad to be returning.
Yeah.
And it's about 3 phone calls during the break, so we're still getting things done here.
That's terrific. I got a quick question here for you. It's a quick one. Of course, you're up for re-election this year. Are you running against Republicans, or are you running against J.D. Scholten?
Well, I guess you'd say against the universe. But there's 4 Republicans that decided that, I think I might have told you once before, I made a mistake, one mistake, not the only one, but one mistake was I made my job look too easy, and then those guys all won it. And J.D. Scholten looks like he is the nominee for the Democratic Party. And so he'll be the guy after the primary in June 2nd. And, he campaigned all over. He's been campaigning nonstop for, let's see. I better not put a year and a month on that, but it's in years. And prior to that, he was what we call him, a minor league baseball player, maybe right below that level. And we can't find a lot that he did other than that. His dad was a baseball coach.
He didn't do that much. He was a Class A baseball player, and believe me, that's I'm a baseball fan. I keep track of these things, and he was he was a Class A baseball player for 8 years. That's really not getting the message. If you're in Class A baseball for 8 years, you're not going any higher, and that's just period end of story. Now I've talked to him. He's a nice enough guy, but he's. When it comes to policy, I have never really heard much from him other than the Republicans are bad or they suck or something.
Well, Mike, I'd say that if this race is going to settle on who's got the life experiences that can apply to the task at hand, there isn't anybody close to me when it comes to that. And most all of that's good, but when you think about the wars that one has to fight over the decades, from starting a business, and we've met payroll since 1975, and my kids grew up in one house and with one father, one mother, one church, one school, and they live within 10 miles of my house, and they're all self-sustaining and 8 grandchildren, and been through the farm crisis of the 80s. I've been flooded under in 93 and been vandalized, and all of those things threatened to take me out of business. And instead, I've come through the political arena with this, and those folks with the great big checks, they're the ones that are getting behind my opponent. These are the folks that are establishment, elitist, globalist, never Trumpers on the Republican side. And, of course, the left, they don't like me very well because I think that marriage should be between a man and a woman, as it always has been, and that life begins at the moment of conception, and the Constitution matters, and we're free enterprise capitalism, and we should be fiscally responsible and have a strong national defense, and we ought to be able to keep and bear arms. Those things. So you can see all the people I've ticked off over the years, all standing on these principles that America was built on, defending and refurbishing the pillars of American exceptionalism, seems to tick off the rhinos on the Republican side and the lefties on the left side.
Well, as you know, the rhinos, as you described them, and they're a real thing. They've been around a long time. And they really despise working class voters, and they seem to despise Christian voters as well. And those are two groups of people who gravitated toward you. I also know that business believes, and I got this from Governor Branstad himself, who's kind of a rhino his own self, by the way. Governor Branstad said, well, business feels that the social fabric changes, and they shouldn't be involved in that. The slogan, no justice, no peace, that you hear on television from various activist groups, what that means is you give us the justice that we want or we'll shut your business down. That's what they're talking about. And you have a right to free speech, but if you use your free speech in a reasoned way, we will try to get you fired. That's happened to me here at the radio station. That's not respect for the First Amendment at all. As a matter of fact, I don't know what amendments to the Constitution they have any respect for, unless it's their own interpretation of the 14th Amendment, of course. But the point being, again, is we don't have anything coming from the Democratic Party. We have bitterness. We have dire threats of what's going to happen if, oh my God, Steve King remains in office or Donald Trump remains in office, on and on and on. But I haven't seen the world come to an end yet. I've seen this COVID virus. It's a very serious thing. We have to get together and fight it. But of course, that's not happening. There's something about tradition, and tradition implies that you believe, as I understand it, that you believe in everything that our civilization has learned in its entirety. We should put that knowledge to use today. However, they disagree with that. They disagree that our history has been a long and proud history. They believe it's been a history of brutality, of exploitation, of racism, homophobia, you name it. They don't like us, in other words. They don't like you, Congressman King. They don't like me. They don't like people who go to work for a living and believe that freedom is just being left alone and not guided by an all-powerful force of thoughtful people sitting around in a yoga position somewhere. And I'm talking and you're not, and I'm sorry. So,
well, okay, Mike, I can fill that in, and it is this, that what you've described, and as you closed in those last several sentences, you were describing the extreme leftist segment of our political sphere. But also, we talked about the people that are Republicans, that are elitists and globalists and never Trumpers. They have the same attitude. There's a certain attitude of their elitism. There's elitism among Republicans. There's elitism among Democrats, and and both sides, both groups of elitists don't like me very well. They want to run the show. They think they can sit in their ivory towers and make these decisions and command the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is not smart enough to make their decisions for themselves. And I've long held that there's a lot of wisdom in the American people, and especially in Iowans, and you've got to empower them to have access to information and let them make their own decisions and let them benefit from that or feel the brunt of the poor decisions that they make, and society gets better. Also, you said that the business feels that the business world, the Republican side, but also the Democrat side, believes that the social fabric changes. Here's where I will put it this way, is that they think that, yes, the social fabric changes, that culturally we are constantly evolving, and they want to get in front of that or keep up with it so that they can stay in power. And I remember what happened when Robespierre was a French aristocrat during the Revolution in about 1789. And he was on the second floor of a hotel in Paris, and he heard the windows were open. He heard all of the noise in the streets, and he went to the window and looked out. And he looked down, and he said, the people are marching in the streets. I'd better get in front of them and see where they are going, for I am their leader.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It didn't work out very well for him.
No, it didn't.
Later, he was a head shorter. And so... But that's the kind of leadership we get from people that believe the social fabric changes, that culturally we are evolving. They don't believe in any timeless truth. They don't believe in those old lessons. They just believe they're old, they're archaic, they don't apply today. I'm the other way. I say, what was the sin in the Garden of Eden? What was the sin at the time of Christ is the sin today. And that hasn't changed, and it won't change. God isn't going to change his judgment just because we invented some technology and took more of this world into our own hands. There's still the same moral foundation that must stay underneath us. We still must stick with those same values and adhere to them. And I think also we can never go back. It always is going forward. Not true. We can restore ourselves. We can have renewal, and we can get reacquainted with the values that made this a great country and make it an even greater country. But we have to convince a few more people than we have so far today, Mike.
Congressman Steve King is our guest. I just got a text from Representative Mike Sexton. You know the Scrapster, right? And he's scrappy over there, Sexton.
He is.
He's a scrappy one, I'll tell you. He Representative Sexton tells us that they started killing baby pigs in Nebraska last week. Now, I know the animal rights groups will be all over this, but they can't afford to raise these pigs. They have nowhere for them to go, I suppose.
No, and Mike, it's even worse than that. I mean, some of it is they've made the decisions on these litters of pigs to cull it out, and maybe a percentage of each litter that the weaker ones runts and those that maybe have a rupture. But that's bad. But that's going on in the industry sometimes for efficiency reasons. But what we're looking at is the euthanization of market-ready fat hogs in numbers that, if you look at the USDA's marketing report, the daily harvest is something like 147,000 hogs a day down. That's stacking up, and if you load those up, and 10 days of that gets you to 1.5 million hogs. So these are 340 pounders and up. It's going to be an awful experience, and I intend to be part of that experience tomorrow morning, starting fairly early in Worthington, Minnesota.
That's repulsive, really. It's revolting to hear, but I understand why it's happening. Of course, if you're me, you think, by golly, I had to go up there and get a couple of those hogs, throw them in the back of my truck, and bring them back here and slaughter them in my front yard. I'm sure my neighbors would love that.
I've butchered a few hogs here myself, Mike, and I've got a hog roaster out behind the shop that could be renovated pretty quickly.
By God, I'm in.
And just to give it a little narrative for the listeners, this is a sad subject, but I'll just give you a little narrative that has a bit of levity to it, and that is that I used to have a hog roast here at my place each year when I was a little more vigorous, and we'd invite everybody for 5 miles around, and so sometimes we'd have as many as 300 or more people here. This is before I got into politics. And so, one of the neighbors or two of them would donate a hog and butcher the hog and hang him in the shop and then put him in a tank with ice and put him on the roaster in the morning. Well, we had a lot of folks coming one year, and my neighbor, Don Putin, said, "You don't have enough meat." I said, "Well, I've got 9 turkeys to put in. That's not enough. Go get another hog." So about midnight, I went down to his Cargill finishing unit, picked out a nice amp, and pulled him out of there. He was hanging in my shop. I was butchering this hog. It's by now about 1:30 in the morning, and I know I'm going to have a tired day the next day. When the Henrich brothers showed up, and they had been, let's just say, they had been treating themselves to adult beverages, and they said, "King, we found you. We knew what would be going on here. Now you're the solution for our problem. My stupid brother Jack bid $15 on a billy goat down at the sale barn today, and we've been driving around all day trying to figure out what to do with him. You're going to butcher him." So I did the calculation of how long will it take me to talk him out of it versus how long will it take to butcher the billy goat. And you know how that went. So that day I roasted 2 hogs, a billy goat, 9 turkeys, and a snapping turtle, and we had a feast.
Did you have enough for 300 people?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Meat and I labeled the take-home meat goat meat, and then they didn't take as much as they would have otherwise.
I bet they didn't. Yeah, I know that's something I don't think I've ever had. I don't think I've had any goat meat. My grandpa used to catch turtles, and we'd have them. He'd catch he'd shoot squirrels, all kinds of things. But that was another time, that's for sure. Congressman Steve King is our guest here at AM 1400 KVFD. I was a little disappointed to see that ethanol didn't get much of a break with the latest ag bill. Is there anything I don't suppose there's anything we can do to change that?
Boy, we're in a bad spot. I've been in discussions about that, and the hard spot of it is that petroleum is in the worst condition that they've been in, at least in the short term, I think in our lifetime. And when the market went south on that, I talked to our Treasury Secretary Mnuchin on it, and he said that there were people that tried to control the market, and when they called them, they couldn't take delivery of the oil. Everything was full, and they couldn't take delivery. So they ended up having to, trying to peddle off those contracts. Some of this had to do with trade in China too, but it went all the way down, not only to a negative price. We saw a negative $37. There was actually a negative $54 a barrel. You'd have to pay $54 to get somebody to take a barrel of oil off your hands. And when you're in that shape with oil and the panic racing through Oklahoma and Texas, it's kind of hard to sell ethanol, the ethanol policy in Congress. So we're going to have to kind of swallow for a little while and come back around this and then do what we can. But it's our ethanol industry is just temporarily wiped out, and hopefully they have the capital to get themselves back underneath this again and get it going.
Yeah, I just saw something online here that a farmer is, not around here, I think it's up in Minnesota, a farmer is advertising hogs for sale on his Facebook page. God almighty. What a crazy world.
What's the price?
Yeah, really? Head up there tomorrow, right now. I'll go up there and get a couple of hogs right now.
Yeah, we've got a feedlot over here that we can put 25 or 30 heads in there. I checked that out a couple of nights ago, but... and really, truthfully, Mike, while we're here talking in there, and our Mike Sexton there at home, he's gone through a lot. Mike Sexton was our expert on hogs in the Iowa legislature, in the time I was there with him. But I just will say this out, that these hogs are going to be euthanized, and starting in significant numbers starting tomorrow, 340 pounders and maybe on up. The barrows aren't going to reproduce, so if they get out, they get out. But if anybody's got a feeding floor that they wouldn't mind putting those hogs on, and if they had a way to get them butchered, maybe it's a local locker plant that would make those commitments. Maybe they put them on limited feed and try to get some use out of them. Maybe they could get them into the sow plants east of here. But there might be a way to get a real bargain on those hogs if they're going to be euthanized. I'd feel a lot better if somebody could figure out a way to turn them into meat and put it on somebody's table somewhere.
Boy, that would be the thing. Our food pantry is always in trouble. I don't think they have a refrigeration capacity down there, but we could work something out. Yeah, the local lockers, I'd be willing to buy some locker space if we could get something like that done. But there's one, I guess it goes back to my childhood when my mother always told us kids we had to eat everything because there were children in China that always would love to have what we had, and I come to believe, she was probably right. But, I hate to see food wasted, and I hate to see that sort of thing. And there's farmers up in Wisconsin and other places, Washington State, they're dumping their milk on the ground because they can't get a price for it. This is things we haven't seen, I don't think, since the Depression.
That's right. And it was for a different reason in the Depression. We could get it processed, but no one had any money. And here, another thing that is bad, this will resonate also with Representative Sexton, but we've been planning for years on what we would do if we got hit with a heavy disease outbreak, such as foot and mouth disease. And so we plan those logistics and do all the things we can to be ready. This is kind of the equivalent of that kind of outbreak, only the disease is in human beings, and that's causing the backup in livestock. But to have to kill animals that are ready for market and dig a hole or compost them, it just troubles me a lot to do that. So if there's a way, if there's somebody out there, call one of my offices and we will connect them up and see if we can get some of those hogs that would otherwise be euthanized to go to a good use. But any of these plants are, they're overloaded right now. And so I think it'd have to be commitments from the local locker plants on how many animals they think. And usually they're booked ahead for quite a ways in advance, too.
Well, that's the unfortunate truth. That's where we're at right now. Congressman King, I wish we had more time, but we don't. Thank you so much for being with us.
We could have butchered a hog in the time we talked.
I think we could have, yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 3:29. News coming up.
Blue Ribbon, Pelham Waters, your water pro since 1949.
Do you have questions about your water? What is a whole home filter? Is my softener working or not? Can I get rid of that red stain around the sink? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. We're here to fix problem water. We'll work with you to find the right solution for you. We've been serving the Fort Dodge area since 1949. Let us serve your water treatment needs. Sales, service, rentals. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, your complete water store.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Take us to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for this station so we can go wherever you want us to.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. After the news broke last week of 25 employees of the Prestige Foods plant near Eagle Grove testing positive for COVID-19, the Wright County Board of Supervisors has issued a statement that says that the Wright County Board of Health has requested additional testing for antibodies to further assist in the evaluation. The state of Iowa has agreed to provide the supplies for testing, and the statement says that the Wright County Public Health Department, along with Iowa Specialty Hospital and Clinics, will be offering COVID-19 antibody testing to all Prestige employees, along with a number of medical and first responders in Wright County beginning this week. Those 25 positive cases announced last week were from residents of 5 different counties, 18 of which were from Black Hawk County. None of those 25 people were showing any symptoms of the virus at the time of testing. The statement that the Board of Supervisors released today says the goals of this antibody testing is to reveal who may have previously had COVID-19 and recovered, to reveal those who have not had COVID-19, to recognize any ongoing vulnerability, and to provide public health officials a better idea of community spread and immunity as we move through the COVID-19 pandemic. Unity Point Health has announced a change at the top. The company released a statement on their website on Monday that said after more than 20 years of dedicated service to Unity Point Health, Kevin Vermeer has chosen to step down as president and CEO to pursue other opportunities, effective at the end of April. As Unity Point Health continues to confront the COVID-19 crisis, the organization remains dedicated to serving our patients and community. Senior Vice President Sue Thompson has accepted the Board of Directors' request to serve as interim CEO. Vermeer assumed the CEO role over 4 years ago. Randy Easton, the chairman of Unity Point Health's Board of Directors, said, "We greatly appreciate Kevin's leadership and service over the past 20-plus years. Strong, innovative leadership is critical now more than ever. We're fortunate to have Sue Thompson taking the helm during this time of transition." Thompson brings to the role more than 3 decades of extensive leadership experience. She previously served as the Fort Dodge region's CEO for Unity Point Health. The Board of Directors said they'll launch an extensive national search for a permanent CEO in the coming months. From Radio Iowa, organizers of the Country Thunder Music Festival have decided to postpone its Forest City event due to the continuing uncertainties surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. Festival spokesperson Jerry Krochak explained the decision.
It's just a little too soon to go, and we're just following the guidelines that have been laid out for us. We think by moving to Labor Day weekend, it gives us a chance to, to put on the kind of world-class event that we want to. It's going to be a big first year for us in Iowa. Good things come to those who wait. We're going to wait a little longer. And
the festival was originally scheduled from June 12th to 14th, but now will take place September 4th through the 6th at Winnebago Park in Forest City. Have all been reconfirmed for the new date. All ticketing and camping options will be honored for the rescheduled dates. One of the things that impressed the organizers of Country Thunder was the Iowa spirit and willingness to work on getting the rescheduling done.
We've already seen, as soon as we made this announcement, we had all of our folks in Iowa calling saying, let us know what you need and let us know how we can help. We're in. That's America. That's what we've come to expect, and it's such a great feeling knowing that people, have your back when you go through this. And I think it's just an overall understanding of truly, and I know it's become a cliche, about that we're all in this together and everyone's working as if they believe that for sure.
Country Thunder Iowa is partnering with Families of the Fallen for the Forest City Festival. A portion of every ticket sold will directly benefit the nonprofit organization. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. Daytime highs approaching 71 this afternoon under mainly clear skies. Winds out of the northwest 20 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy skies. Tonight, chance for scattered thunderstorms, lows around 45. Chance for scattered thunderstorms. Tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 63, ample sunshine expected. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 58.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. May corn down 2 3/4 at 302 3/4. July down to 1 1/4 at 312. September up 1/4 penny at 319 1/4. December up 1/2 cent at 330. May soybeans down 3 cents at 826. July down 4 1/2 at 832. August down 3 1/2 at 834 1/2. September down 2 1/4 at 835 1/2. May wheat closed up 5 3/4 at 526 3/4. Soybean meal down $3.50 a ton at $281.80. April live cattle up 72 cents at $85.52. June up 65 at $84.70. April feeder cattle down 77 cents at $119.62. May up 35 at $118.50. May lean hogs down 122 at $55.05. June up 92 cents at $56.20. July up 182 at 60 1/4. I am Dwayne Murley.
Is all flaxseed the same? Hello, I'm Julie Harker, and this is Healthy Living on Brownfield. Flaxseed has been called a superfood for its wide range of health benefits. In recent years, hundreds of flaxseed products have been added to the marketplace. Flaxseed products aren't just for human consumption. They're also being used in agriculture to feed livestock. There are 2 varieties of flaxseed, golden and brown. They offer the same nutritional benefits. Taste-wise, registered dietitian Lindsay Kelling says there is sometimes a preference for one over the other.
Some people like the golden look a little bit better as well. They don't notice it as much in some products compared to the brown.
A lot of products claim to contain flaxseed, but paying attention to the label is important because some of these products contain the whole grain, which won't give you the same benefits as milled or ground flaxseed.
Unfortunately, our bodies can't digest the whole seeds, so we really don't get the benefit if we eat just the whole flaxseed itself.
Flaxseed can be used to substitute some other.
Yeah, Steve? Yeah, give me 2 minutes. I'll be right there.
Okay.
Fatty acids. Keep in mind you won't be getting the dietary fiber you'll find in foods that contain the seed. Flaxseed can be found in the health food section or in the baking aisle of your local grocery store. I'm Julie Harker.
Pork producers haven't experienced a crisis like this since the late 1990s. COVID-19 has forced unprecedented disruptions to the supply chain. causing backups at the producer level. Hi, I'm Brownfield Livestock Market reporter Megan Grebner. Join us Wednesday evening, April 29th at 7:30 p.m. Central for a live webinar featuring ag economists Scott Brown, Glenn Tonzer, and Lee Schultz, where we'll answer your questions about navigating the current volatility in the pork industry. Visit brownfieldagnews.com/COVID-19 for more details.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nia Hurd-Garris with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. As parents, we want our children to grow up healthy and strong. That means helping teens take responsibility for their health as they become young adults. One way to do that is to make sure they have one-on-one time with their pediatrician. That helps them become comfortable talking about any health issue with their doctors and with you. So make sure to give your teen a voice. It's good for their health. For more on teen health, visit healthychildren.org.
Hahn Roofing takes pride in adapting to the needs of our customers. That's why we have implemented a no-contact, free estimate process just for you. Your home is your biggest investment, and when your roof needs repairs, you need to know that there's someone you can count on to take the needed steps to help you. Call Hahn Roofing today to schedule your no-contact free estimate. Let Hahn Roofing handle the rest. Call 515-573-7440. At Hahn Roofing, your family is protected under our roof.
Have you ever wondered how the brain works? What makes us tick? Join me, Greg Woods, every Wednesday morning for all the latest news on the brain, on aging, and the science behind it all. It's The Mind Boggles, every Wednesday morning at 8:30 on AM 1400 KVFD.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
And this part of the program brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. And with me now is Steve Peterson. He is past president of the Webster County Farm Bureau. How are you, Steve? Well, I'm doing okay. Just as soon as I got you on the air, I had one of my coughing fits, but I think I'm back with you now. Did you get a chance to hear of anything that Congressman Kig had to say?
Yes, I did. I listened to quite a bit of his segments there. So a lot going on. You probably could have talked to him the rest of the afternoon.
Oh, I could have quite easily. He's that way anyway. You know, he likes to talk about these things. And of course, I've talked to him I don't know how many times over the years, and
Sure.
Yeah, I could have talked to him for a long time, especially now when there's a lot of things that aren't so good.
There's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, and it's evolving. It seems like by the hour right now. So, it's just kind of crazy time, really.
Well, it is. Did you get your planning done or not?
I did.
I thought you would.
I finished up on beans. There was actually quite a few people around here. I think the planting conditions. I can't remember having this many days in a row to work. It just seems like the window has been beautiful this spring, which is great with everything else going on. It's one less thing to worry about. I seen a statistic, where we talk planting progress. The last couple of years we always talk about that. Iowa is about 40% done with corn, which I would say locally in this area, we're well ahead of that. There's not a whole lot of corn left to go in directly, around probably the Gowrie area, Fort Dodge area. But statistically, we have done more by April 27th this year than we did in the field. So, I'll take that. But it's been a pleasurable spring for a change.
Yeah, it tells me on my AgWeb app that Iowa's 40% planted and Minnesota is 40% planted as well. So that's better than we've been for quite a while.
I believe the only kind of lagging part of the country is up in North Dakota.
You're right.
And I think they're still reeling the effects of the season from hell of 2019 for them. So they'll probably be a little late to the table. But they just got done harvesting last year's crop, so it's probably understandable up there. But it's been just a pretty flawless, almost subdued spring. Everything just kind of went right with Mother Nature for a change.
Yet here we sit with lower prices and a big mess. That's the irony here.
It is. Last week you asked the question, and I didn't have a good answer. We were talking about, the cost and the profitability and whatnot. So I had a little chance to look up, and Iowa State's kind of the standard bearer of statistical stuff that's probably a little fair to use, because every farm is a little different, so it's not quite fair. But I did look up what Iowa State's cost of production was per acre on corn and beans, and it varies a little bit from corn on corn to a corn soybean rotation, but they're looking about $752 an acre on a corn acre, and about $531 an acre on soybeans. Now, if you use the yields that Webster County got last year, right now we would be sitting anywhere from $160 to $170 loss per acre at current prices for this fall. So definitely not a good situation going forward with the current market structure we have right now. So,
no, I'd have to say that's the truth. I'd have to say that's the truth.
Yeah.
It's just it's. I'll tell you, this last week kind of got to me, Steve. To be honest with you, it's such a surreal thing. This COVID-19 thing. You don't know what to do with it. Yeah, I mean, you don't know where it is. You don't know who's got it. It's just crazy.
It is, and uncertainty always wears. There is, some ag relief programs that have been passed by Congress. We still don't have any basically working math or formulas how that's going to be calculated yet. We're patiently waiting on there, and there's money set aside for livestock producers, for crop producers, I believe for vegetables. There's components for the government to purchase commodities, but we haven't really. We've just seen the gross dollar amounts, and we have yet to find out how that's going to be implemented and distributed out through the ag economy. So that's something we're hopefully, I would hope this week we're going to see something on that.
Well, I hope so too. I hope that's the case. I know you don't raise livestock, but of course they are. They're going to have to euthanize pigs, I guess. Congressman King was talking about it, going to Minnesota tomorrow for that. That's never good.
No, it's not. And it's something no one's. There's nothing good that's coming from that. And with these, I've seen there was some presidential orders coming up. I believe this afternoon that packing houses are going to be required to stay open. So maybe some of this can be minimized, but again, there's challenges on every aspect of this, and I don't know if a lot of people understand. I know enough about it that there's quite a tight schedule in the pig production as far as raising them and having spots in the processing plants and and cleaning the barns and restocking the barns, and it's a very orchestrated chain of events that goes on, and you start disrupting pieces out of there. Whether I think Congressman King touched on it. Our industry has always been gearing up for diseases within like African swine fever, or a few years back when we had the poultry viruses going through. This is hitting from a different side of the supply chain, through the packing houses. So not a typical scenario for us, but again, hopefully we can work through this and not let any of this go to minimize the waste that there is.
Yeah, we don't need any of that, that's for sure. But I think the governor has made the right decision as far as loosening up some of our businesses here in Webster County. Well, what she's done is relax restrictions on the 77 counties in Iowa where there's not a lot of corona cases. The other 22 counties, of course, have had a lot, and their status hasn't changed. But sure. I think letting us go to restaurants and things like that is, while maintaining social distance, I think that's a good thing.
It will. I was just reading. There's actually quite a few restrictions on the restaurant, so it's definitely going to be a different experience from what I guess would be considered normal. But we'll see how that plays out, and and there might be some restaurants that choose not to at this point too. I guess the decision there's some more decisions put on them if they feel that they're comfortable doing that. So I guess time will tell, and we'll see here. I believe that opens up Friday, I think.
Yeah, Friday. Yeah.
But as far as what we're doing, here on the farm, I know a lot of farmers probably, as the weather looks like it's going to hold out here for another week. I think we'll be seeing some more guys finishing up with soybeans, and starting to kind of reflect on the season, or the season so far. What went right, what went wrong. That's something I know I do every year, and even start thinking about what little changes I'd like to make or whatnot. And then before we know it, we're going to have some fields starting to turn green, and we'll be battling weeds and starting post-spraying and different activities like that. So it'll move along quickly.
Yes, it will. Yeah, the weather for the next few days, the next week's forecast is just terrific. And and I hope we don't get a bunch of new corona cases. Now, that would be a huge bummer. And I take heart in the fact that apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, there are some multimillionaires and some scientists really working assiduously to try to find a vaccination for coronavirus if we get that done. And, of course, God, that could happen. It could not happen. It could be in the future. Dr. Fauci says we're 2 years away from a vaccination that works. Okay. But if we could get that done sooner, that would be terrific as well. Steve Peterson's our guest. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was just going to say the vaccine is really going to be the key to getting back to life as what we would call normal.
Yeah, I would think so. Nobody wants their summer screwed up, that's for sure. And well, those are minor things. I mean, there's people that are sick, and there's hogs being euthanized, if that's the correct way to put it. I guess it is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people out of work, that's for sure, and we don't like to see that at all. And hopefully we can get something done with that real fast. Are we still doing business with China, or what's going on there?
As far as I know, China has been in the market, but I think right now they tend to be buying a little more from South America. At these prices, I would think it would be a buyer's market, really, to come in and fill their orders. But it's just been very very quiet, really, on that front. So we're always anticipating some purchases, and I think they've been doing some small ones, but I have yet to see the large-scale purchases come in.
Okay, yeah, so nothing like a big soybean buy or corn buy or anything like that.
No, and then you compound that with the decreased domestic demand, with the ethanol market kind of being just completely scattered right now. It's just not a very bullish scenario for the prices in the short term.
What about ethanol? I mean, we didn't get much out of the ag bill for ethanol, that's for sure.
I think just like Congressman King alluded to, it's hard to prop up that industry when we ride on the backs of the petroleum industry for our product to blend with, and they're in shambles. I would hate to think the day when I would have to pay somebody to take a bushel of my corn like they are in right now with the ethanol side of things. So it's just, it's absolutely crazy to think that way, that could even be possible. But I guess that's the world, the time we live in right now.
Boy. That's strange days indeed.
It is.
Strange days indeed. So you have your planning done?
Yes.
And so what's next out at your farm?
Well, right now I'll probably I'll keep the planter hooked up for a while, just in case the weather would change. We'd have to do some replants or whatnot, and be cleaning out some of the sprayers that I used here in the springtime and getting them ready for the next pass after we get some crops up. Then we'll start going after some weeds and then like probably get a field cultivator cleaned up and start putting it away and start bringing out some of the other equipment and even looking into some of the fall stuff, going through it and taking advantage of this nice weather.
Yeah, that's what we got to do. I can't believe what's happening in the hog industry. That was such a vital industry and a healthy industry just a couple of years ago. And here we sit. Here we sit. Have you heard about now, I know North Dakota, as you say, is still finishing up from last year as far as their crop is concerned. In other parts of the country, how are they doing? I suppose in the Midwest here, Indiana, Illinois, the Corn Belt, we're doing just fine. Nebraska as well.
I believe Indiana and Ohio's been doing real well. I know they've had a few more weather systems, some more weather delays, some breaks in the weather. But, here in Iowa, and I think southern Minnesota, we've southern Minnesota kind of had that snow here a couple weeks ago. Wasn't that long ago. They had a foot of snow up there. And since then, I think they've had some pretty ideal weather, too, to get going. So, once again, we're kind of in a sweet spot for the weather pattern.
Are there any diseases that you've heard about are going to be a problem as the crop grows? There's always some new disease that comes around.
There's always something new. Something that Iowa State has told us to be on the lookout this year is, and I might say this wrong, I believe it's called a soybean gall midge, and it's a crazy-looking little insect that's coming, I believe, from the west. I think it's into about Sac County. I've personally never seen it. It looks like something that burrows in the stem of the soybean. And there's some what's called a corn aphid. We had soybean aphids a few years back, and now we've kind of got a different variation of it. It's called a corn aphid. And it seems like there's always something new. I did see a press release on a giant wasp that evidently has come in from Asia, and it will get into the honeybee columns and just decimate a hive in a matter of minutes. So, there's always something new on the horizon. Just when you think you got everything figured out, it seems like Mother Nature will throw something at you.
There's always some new kind of pigweed, isn't there?
Pigweeds have kind of... Palmer amaranth was the big one a few years back, and that was a variation of a pigweed. And a lot of that kind of got spread around. What we found out was in the pollinator seeds and kind of the conservation programs that we were doing. We were expanding those programs so much that we were having to bring a lot of the seed in from other parts of the country. And lo and behold, we found out that we weren't really screening a lot of these for noxious weeds. So we did a lot of moving around with some of those pollinator crops that were getting brought in. And it's a pretty fearful plan if you get it established in a farm. But luckily, we've done a good job of keeping that at bay. So that's something we're always kind of keeping an eye on, but it's a very big.
Steve Peterson's with the Webster County Farm Bureau, and this portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. We'll talk more with Steve right after the news. Call us back, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Ford Dodge 357.
We stand for people, progress and pride.
We're the Iowa Farm Bureau, and we support farm families. We're a voice on local, state, and national issues. We're also committed to making rural Iowa a better place to live and keeping Iowa farm families on the farm.
People, progress and pride, it's true. Iowa Farm Bureau's helping you.
Paid for by Bank on Yourself. Have you been putting your retirement savings in a 401k, IRA, or investment account? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. You've seen what's happening in the market. This is clearly no time to gamble. Can you really afford to lose any more of your retirement savings? Hey, here's the good news. You don't have to lose another penny because there's a better, safer way to save for retirement. And you can learn all about it in a free report. This is the report Wall Street desperately hopes you'll never see. Why? Because this method continues to grow your money, even when the market tumbles, just as it's done for more than 160 years. And it gives you tax-free and penalty-free access to your savings. These are treacherous times, and now, more than ever, you can't afford to take one wrong step. So get the information you need today to guarantee your retirement security. Hurry. To get this free report, go to SaveYourRetirementNow.com right now. That's SaveYourRetirementNow.com. SaveYourRetirementNow.com.
Around here, life is a continuous circle. We have friend circles, business circles,
Great work.
and occasionally circles under our eyes. At our best, we have a circle of caring people around us. That's the power of Mercy One, a healthcare support network 20,000 strong, personalizing your care by keeping you at the center of everything we do. Mercy One, your best life, our one purpose.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Check it out, Limu. Got a brand new motorcycle jacket and matching leather pants. Now let's go for a ride and tell everyone that Liberty Mutual customizes their motorcycle insurance. So you only pay for what you need. Oh my gosh, this leather does not breathe well. You can't suffocate in leather, can you? Liberty, 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 liberty. Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
I'm Dave Ramsey. Join me every Monday through Friday afternoon from 5 to 8 p.m. on AM 1400 KVFD Fort Dodge.
A new frontier in the coronavirus fight. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump says he'll sign an executive order aimed at helping the meat industry amid concerns about possible shortages and lawsuits by employees as plants shutting down over illnesses start to reopen. But the largest meatpacking union in the U.S. says the administration instead should compel companies immediately to provide the highest level of protective equipment for slaughterhouse workers and ensure there's daily testing. Meantime, a split decision on Capitol Hill, where the House won't come back yet after all.
A day after announcing a return to session next week, Democratic House leaders scrapped those plans. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she was left with no choice after the attending physician for Congress raised concerns about the safety of everyone who works on Capitol Hill.
The custodians in the building, those who have to be here more because we're here, the press, the staff, the members of Congress.
Senate Republican leaders are planning to reconvene the Senate next week. House leaders say members are working from home, regularly speaking with local leaders, business owners, and constituents.
Fox's Jared Halpern, both the House and Senate sergeants at arms just announcing that restrictions on public access to the Capitol are being extended to May 16th. Hillary Clinton criticizing President Trump's response to the coronavirus crisis as she endorses Joe Biden for president.
Just think of what a difference it would make right now if we had a president who not only listened to the science, put facts over fiction, but brought us together.
Clinton joining the former vice president in a webcast town hall event. Biden has yet to respond directly to the sexual assault allegation made by a former staffer from when he was a senator in the 1990s. His campaign has denied it. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh, whale! Guys, whale! Wow, whale. Oh, that's a big whale. Okay. Whale, whale, whale. Oh no, whale!
The tides can turn quick on the water. Progressive's boat insurance has you covered. Get a quote today in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com.
Well, at least it wasn't a shark, am I right?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Do you want to learn to speak a new language but don't have enough time? Then you need to try Babbel, the language learning app that you can try for free right now at Babbel.com. Babbel's lessons are just 15 minutes or less, and you can go at your own pace. You'll be amazed at how easy Babbel makes it. Start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free
Just download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com now. That's BABBEL.com.
Even as scientists around the world work to find treatments and a vaccine for the new coronavirus, there's cautious optimism about a new test for cancer.
Doctors say for the first time, a blood test has detected cancer before symptoms appear. According to results that were published in the journal Science, the study was conducted on thousands of women aged 65 to 75. Johns Hopkins University scientist Nicholas Papadopoulos says the test, paired with a standard screening, detected double the amount of cancers. But doctors say they have a long way to go. The test is in its experimental phase, and it missed more cancers than it found. It also needs to be tested in men and on different age groups. Rob Dawson, Fox News.
More COVID-19 cases on a U.S. warship, the second ship dealing with an outbreak at sea. The destroyer USS Kidd arriving in San Diego earlier today with over 60 sailors infected. That's more than triple the number since Friday. Hundreds were sickened on the USS Theodore Roosevelt. An airborne salute to workers on the front lines of the pandemic.
First responders and other essential workers getting a booming thank you from above. The Navy's Blue Angels and the Air Force Thunderbirds paying sky-high tributes to heroes of the pandemic in New York City, Trenton, New Jersey, and Philadelphia. Both squadrons conducting a series of multi-city flyovers through mid-May as part of an America Strong campaign. The military asking spectators to enjoy the show of solidarity responsibly by refraining from travel to see the flyovers and maintaining social distancing. In New York City, Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
A late drop on Wall Street, the Dow finishing down 32 points after being higher for most of the day. Still finishing over 24K, though. The S&P slips 15 points, the NASDAQ down more than 1%. And Lisa Brady.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. 20-year-old Des Moines resident Dylan Clark was arrested near Fort Dodge Monday after leading state patrol troopers on a high-speed chase. According to the police report, Clark led police on a chase with speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour. The state patrol troopers began trying to stop Clark on U.S. Highway 20. He would crash his vehicle off an exit ramp and then fled on foot. Local law enforcement agencies helped the state patrol set up a perimeter. Clark was eventually found and taken into custody. He's charged with possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, driving without a license, a stop sign violation, and interference with official acts. Unity Point Health has announced a change at the top. The company released a statement on their website on Monday that said after more than 20 years of dedicated service to Unity Point Health, Kevin Vermeer has chosen to step down as president and CEO to pursue other opportunities effective at the end of April. As Unity Point Health continues to confront the COVID-19 crisis, the organization remains dedicated to serving our patients and community. Senior Vice President Sue Thompson has accepted the board of directors' request to serve as interim CEO. Vermeer assumed the CEO role over 4 years ago. Randy Easton, the chairman of Unity Point Health's board of directors, said, "We greatly appreciate Kevin's leadership and service over the past 20-plus years. Strong, innovative leadership is critical now more than ever. We're fortunate to have Sue Thompson taking the helm during this time of transition." Thompson brings to the role more than 3 decades of extensive leadership experience. She previously served as the Fort Dodge region's CEO for Unity Point Health. The board of directors said they'll launch an extensive national search for a permanent CEO in the coming months. Iowa Central's Kelly Kruger has stepped down as the head coach of women's basketball for the Tritons. He served 4 years at the helm of the program and led the Tritons to back-to-back winning seasons after posting a 17-14 record this past year. Kruger previously was the head coach at Ashford University, Adams State, and Southwest Minnesota State prior to coming to Iowa Central. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. Daytime highs approaching 71 this afternoon under mainly clear skies, winds out of the northwest 20 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy skies. Tonight, chance for scattered thunderstorms, lows around 45. Chance for scattered thunderstorms. Tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 63. Ample sunshine expected. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 58.
Have you ever wondered how the brain works? What makes us tick? Join me, Greg Woods, every Wednesday morning for all the latest news on the brain, on aging, and the science behind it all. It's The Mind Boggles, every Wednesday morning at 8:30 on AM 1400 KVFD.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, use my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Here's what you can do. Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream and pay off those credit card balances. You can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000. The process is all online. You never have to leave the house. And you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 5.95% APR with AutoPay.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate. Thanks, Lightstream.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio for an additional discount. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
That's right. We have 60 rounds of freedom at all times. We also have Steve Peterson with us, and Steve is past president of the Webster County Farm Bureau. And, of course, this portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. So, Steve, it looks like we're, again, in the unusual position of having near-perfect planting conditions. If I haven't heard any complaints from anyone around the whole state, and I've kind of been snooping around a little bit. And
well, I think there's some pockets of the state that had some delays. I think down by Atlantic, they just got started down there. So, but overall, it's April 28th, and everything looks pretty darn good.
Yes, it does. Let's talk conservation a little bit. How do you do a lot of conservation out at your farm?
I have, let's see, I can go down the list here. I have terraces, I have waterways, I have buffer strips. I've done cover crops occasionally, and then I do reduced tillage, and I do crop rotations, I use nitrogen stabilizers. There's quite a few practices, actually.
Well, you do, certainly. Are any of these backed by the government? What I'm trying to say is, does the government give you incentives to do these things?
About the only one that I am funded right now I have some buffer strips along the dredge ditches, and those I enroll in a 10-year program, and there's basically a rental rate that the USDA pays per acre.
Right.
That type of thing. There are different programs if you want to implement some of these programs, but for the most part, I think that's the only one that I'm currently using with USDA funding.
Do you think most farmers in your area have some sort of conservation practices?
I would say most of them have several. I don't know too many that aren't completely looking the other way on that.
Yeah, that's good news.
The land is, that's ultimately our big piece of equipment is that land.
Oh, without a doubt. I talk with the guys at the Iowa Policy Project regularly, and they're always blaming row crop farming for this, that, or the other thing. I know the Farm Bureau, or at least some farm groups, were trying to work to come to some sort of consensus with some of their critics about row crop farming. Were you part of that when you were president of the Webster County Farm Bureau?
That conversation goes on constantly, and unfortunately, there is some similarities I see to some of our criticism of conservation and its practices. I see some similarities that I'm seeing now that with the coronavirus testing, because as we test more, it seems like we're getting more cases, and that kind of runs a parallel to what goes on in the conservation side, especially water quality and stuff. As we've done more testing in water quality, sometimes the numbers look skewed because we're getting more data, and so that kind of runs a similarity to what I see, on the constant conversation between foes in what is right and wrong in agriculture, and that conversation is always going to go on.
Yes, it is. It's always going to go on. I don't hear it as much as I used to. Is that because there's been a greater understanding, or farmers have implemented greater controls, or the other side just got a little tired or went home, or
well, I don't think anyone's going to give up anytime soon, but I do believe there's getting to be a little more education on practices and different things. I've seen, and again, if this is true or not, but I've heard reports in the cities of how much better air quality is right now with keeping people home. So the role that some of this pollution plays in the environment, and that trickles down to the land use and water quality, and so it's a big equation. There's no simple answer or fix for everything. It's just how do we work together and produce food that's safe and abundant and affordable, and be good stewards of the land and our operations at the same time. It's a gigantic balancing act.
Well, I've gone to a number of meetings about this very topic over the years, and I haven't seen any farmers that show up there, and a lot of them inherited their farm and they're looking to give it to the next generation. I haven't seen any farmers are willing or in the mood to see, as you say, their tool ruined, their main tool. By that I mean the land that they're on. That's the last thing we want to do is ruin land, and I hope that's the case.
Yes. Oh, I totally believe that. And some of the conservation meetings, I've been to numerous ones of those. Unfortunately, it does seem like you see a lot of the same people there, but there's enough incentives and you get some new people and some new ideas. There's constantly technology evolving in different ways to maximize. Unfortunately, that's kind of what almost has got us to the problem now with the production numbers that we have. Is we're really good at raising big crops. Last year was a good example of that, but you want to maximize your production out of every acre. You want every seed to go to full potential, and whether we're doing that with variable rate fertilizer or variable rate seeding rates, we're trying not to waste any money. And in times like this, when we're looking at negative numbers on a potential financial sheet. We're kind of going, I don't think we're quite there yet, but, it is recommended to definitely know your numbers, to know your break-evens, to be familiar with those, talk to your lenders, it is a business and you need to know this stuff. But we're not quite to it yet, but, the animal people, I think, are further into this than the row crop at this point, but at some point we're going to have to focus on surviving instead of just the status quo, which we've is fortunate to do. So it's definitely a trying time when it comes to that.
Well, we'll keep working on it. We'll get it figured out here. I mean,
sure.
Is the main complaint, of course, always seems to be the fertilizer used, the nitrogen, to be specific. And of course, nitrogen makes the corn grow, and
it does.
And that's what we're always fighting about. Do you undertake any procedures to limit the amount of nitrogen you use in your fields, or not?
How it is perceived with me is we every year at the end of the year, we know our yield that we've taken off that acre, and we used the recommendations from Iowa State University on the removal rates for potassium and phosphorus and sulfur and micronutrients, the smaller ones, and then the nitrogen, which is gets a lot of news. That is figured in a formula. So even last fall, we're planning on what our yield projection is for the following year. And we can do split applications, we use stabilizers, so we're trying to spread this thing out, over the growing season, because we definitely don't want to waste it. Some of the misconception, in nitrates seem that really gets the news, because that's what ends up in the water. I remember we were in a meeting that was a bunch of the senators, and we were talking water quality, and there was one of the experts was in there, and in every acre of land, there can be 4,000 to 5,000 pounds of nitrates in that acre organically. The farmer is really just working with the 200 to 250 nitrates that we add on, but we're the most visible when we see it. You see the machines out in the fields or whatnot. There's a lot of organic nitrates that are in the soils, and it's keeping those there and utilizing. So we're really just kind of working with the very tip of it, but all of our recommendations come off of what we take off of the crop. And that can vary if you take stalks off, you bale stalks, if you, back when you take the ear corn off, they all would have different rates and removal recommendations. And then, of course, we do soil sampling to verify what those levels are, and then our agronomists put those formulations into a computer, basically, and then we can do either a variable rate spread, depending on, we just do the areas of the field that need it, and we might do that for a couple of years till we get the field kind of balanced, and then we would go to what's called a blanket spread, where we're putting the same amount on every acre. So, it's a very, it's kind of a tedious process. It's not just going out there and shoveling the fertilizer on.
Oh, I believe that. Many years ago, I used to, I had a side dump trailer and a tractor, and I would load up with manure from the chicken barns in the Vincent Eagle Grove Badger area and haul it to the field. Now, the farmers there thought the manure, because the manure was always cheaper, was just as good a fertilizer. Do you believe that or not?
Oh, yes, definitely. And even today, that same manure that would be delivered to the field, there would be analysis taken of that. So there would be an NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium analysis of that. And they're still doing their soil samples because that is required with their DNR permits. And they have to do the soil samples, and they can go out and actually variable spread the manure. So just because it's an organic source of fertilizer, they still use a lot of the same technology that you would use in a commercial fertilizer.
You've talked about the variable fertilizer use. What do you mean by that? I mean, what do you mean by variable spread?
Well, we would go out and sample the field in grids. So, like, if you had if you measured the field out in little squares, and the grids could vary anywhere from an acre to 5 acres, and you take soil samples, and you would apply different amounts depending on how much the soil needed, and that would coincide with what you removed off your previous crop and what your yield potential goals are for your next crop. So it looks like a kind of an abstract painting, because there's definitely different soils react different ways, and we have all the soils mapped out, and it's a very scientific approach to what's going on. There's a lot of technology involved in that.
How many different types of soil do you have just on your farm?
In my section here, I probably have 6 or 7. Predominantly a Nicolette and a Webster soil, which is very productive soil. There would be some Okoboji and some little low, your low areas would have some different types. I don't know how many actually are in Webster County, but there's a lot more than you think.
Oh, I know that. I've talked to a couple of agronomists. It's just amazing what goes on all around us, and very few people even know that. By the way, this is just in from Reuters News Service. President Trump has ordered all the meatpacking plants to stay open. That is his order, and so all the meatpacking plants, I'm assuming, if they're closed, will now reopen.
Yes.
That's all I know right now. This is just a news bulletin from Reuters News Service, and I'm sure the other news services will pick it up here shortly. I don't know what that means, other than the plants are going to stay open, and will reopen if they're closed.
I think they're classifying the processing as an essential service and doing it under the Defense Production Act, so it gives the government a little more authority in what's done or not. And it probably, by doing that, will open up these plants to be able to tap into some of the resources that the National Stockpile has as far as protective gear and whatnot. So I'm assuming they'll get the bugs worked out of there in the next few days, probably.
Well, I tell you, I still don't. Here we are, a country, the most powerful country in the world. We can't get some of this equipment out, the PPE equipment, the testing. We can't seem to get it out in rural areas. It is kind of frustrating.
It is, but the vast majority of the population seems to, be in the coastal areas. So, unfortunately, that's where we're almost some of the safest in some ways. But it does come, like we're the last on the list in other ways. But it's just part of it. But there's a lot of good things, that are happening in local communities. I think I touched last week that the Webster County Farm Bureau, we donated 500 to the food bank, and the Iowa Farm Bureau matched. They came out with a program, and they matched every county. So on top of the original $100,000 that the Iowa Farm Bureau donated, with the matching funds of the county, there's close to another $100,000 that was donated to food banks across Iowa from the county farm bureaus. So that was kind of a big thing.
That was kind of a big thing, and good on everybody who thought that up and proceeded with it. What is the Farm Bureau doing in the spring and into the summer now? There's always something the Farm Bureau is doing locally.
Right now we take a little bit of a break when we're getting our planning done, and then the first order of business when we kind of get back to it's going to be our policy development coming in, and that'll be I don't know what that's going to look like, how we're going to proceed with that. That's kind of uncharted water for us. But from our membership coming in, we're going to start sorting through the ideas and coming up with what resonates. We'll do it county by county, and then we do it as a state body also. So that's going to be happening right away, and then we're all still patiently kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with fairs and gatherings like that as we proceed into summer. So just a lot of unknowns right now.
There's a lot of unknowns. Boy, we had to cancel my class reunion this year, and that was scheduled for mid-July. But there's a lot of unknowns, and I would hate to see the county fairs closed. But this Dr. Fauci guy says we might be living with this coronavirus into the fall. I don't know. You hear a lot of things, and really, we're just doing day at a time. I mean, I'm not in a panic by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just, I guess I'm being selfish a little bit. I just want to go to a restaurant.
Right. And that touches on another thing. Farm Bureau works with the Iowa State University. Thanks a lot. And there's resources for people out there if they're getting the wits end and with the disruptions in their lives and communities, and if you want information, if you want someone just to talk to, there's the Iowa Concern Hotline. Great resource, 24 hours a day. If anyone needs any, like I said, any advice or on just about anything, they'll get you in the right direction. You can reach out to the extension offices or, the hotline. It's got an 800 number. It's 1-800-447-1985. And, it's 24 hours a day. And, because it is trying times. So I know locally the fire department I'm with in Reading Cedar in Farnaville and the Badger Fire, they've done something similar. We're seeing with members of our communities that at high risk or homebound and getting groceries and, whatever their needs will be, we're just reaching out to help them. And there's efforts like that going all around the state. So, it's pretty extraordinary times.
It really is. It really is. And we're seeing, as usual, the best of people come through. So this portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. Our guest has been Steve Peterson. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Mike.
You bet. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. The Wright County Emergency Management releases results of COVID-19 cases. On Monday, April 20th, the Wright County Public Health Department, with the assistance of Iowa Specialty Hospital, Clarion, and Belmont Campus, started testing the remaining employees at the Prestige Food of Iowa processing plant in Wright County, Iowa. The results are as follows. The initial 62 employees that were commuting from Blackhawk County that were tested on April 17th and 18th, with the remaining tests drawn over a 3-day period and completed on Wednesday the 23rd. The final test results from the state hygienic lab breaks down as follows. There were 867 total tested, 842 were totally negative, 25 total positive. Prestige is located in Wright County, but is a regional employer. The breakdown of the positives by county for tests given between the 17th and 23rd are 1 in Wright County, 3 in Hamilton County, 1 in Webster County, 2 in Humboldt County, 18 in Blackhawk County. This had the potential to be so much more of a negative effect to our region, if not the proactiveness of Prestige. Their willingness to come forward with the concern that a small group of people from Blackhawk County shows, a lot about Prestige Farms. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Oh, good afternoon, the Truth Doctor, the Doctor of Truth. I haven't talked to you in a long time. I know I might have to wait for a little while, or may not get to talk to you today.
Well, actually, this is Big Ed from Georgia, one of my favorite people in the entire world. And actually, Ed, I don't have time to talk to you today, but I do have your number, and I'll give you a text, and we'll get you on, all right?
I don't text, though.
All right, you don't text. Well, I'll give you a call or something. Or you can
Give me a call. I would love to talk to you. Appreciate what you do.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much, sir. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 4:30.
We're the Iowa Farm Bureau, and we support farm families. We're a voice on local, state, and national issues. We're also committed to making rural Iowa a better place to live and keeping Iowa farm families on the farm.
Right now, the world feels different as we stay apart to make sure we can safely come back together. Till then, there is something you can do without even leaving your home. Respond to the 2020 census online, by phone, or by mail. The census impacts where hundreds of billions in federal funding will go for things like hospitals, schools, and roads. Now is the time to go to 2020census.gov. It's as easy as it is important. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
The great American outdoors are right outside your back door. With battery power made by Steel. Save $40 on any AK Homeowner Series double battery bundle. Shop online, pick up at any of over 9,000 local Steel dealers. Find yours at stihldealers.com. Offer valid for a limited time at participating dealers while supplies last. See dealer for details and consult state local guidelines for availability of promotional products and pricing in your area.
Around here, life is a continuous circle. We have friend circles, business circles, great work, and occasionally circles under our eyes. At our best, we have a circle of caring people around us. That's the power of Mercy One, a healthcare support network 20,000 strong, personalizing your care by keeping you at the center of everything we do. Mercy One, your best life, our one purpose.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. After the news broke last week of 25 employees of the Prestige Foods plant near Eagle Grove testing positive for COVID-19, the Wright County Board of Supervisors has issued a statement that says that the Wright County Board of Health has requested additional testing for antibodies to further assist in the evaluation. The state of Iowa has agreed to provide the supplies for testing, and the statement says that the Wright County Public Health Department, along with Iowa Specialty Hospital and Clinics, will be offering COVID-19 antibody testing to all Prestige employees, along with a number of medical and first responders in Wright County beginning this week. Those 25 positive cases announced last week were from residents of 5 different counties, 18 of which were from Black Hawk County. None of those 25 people were showing any symptoms of the virus at the time of testing. The statement that the Board of Supervisors released today says the goals of this antibody testing is to reveal who may have previously had COVID-19 and recovered, to reveal those who have not had COVID-19, to recognize any ongoing vulnerability, and to provide public health officials a better idea of community spread and immunity as we move through the COVID-19 pandemic. Unity Point Health has announced a change at the top. The company released a statement on their website on Monday that said after more than 20 years of dedicated service to Unity Point Health, Kevin Vermeer has chosen to step down as president and CEO to pursue other opportunities, effective at the end of April. As Unity Point Health continues to confront the COVID-19 crisis, the organization remains dedicated to serving our patients and community. Senior Vice President Sue Thompson has accepted the Board of Directors' request to serve as interim CEO. Vermeer assumed the CEO role over 4 years ago. Randy Easton, the chairman of Unity Point Health's Board of Directors, said, "We greatly appreciate Kevin's leadership and service." Thompson brings to the role more than 3 decades of extensive leadership experience. She previously served as the Fort Dodge Region's CEO for Unity Point Health. The Board of Directors said they'll launch an extensive national search for a permanent CEO in the coming months. From Radio Iowa, organizers of the Country Thunder Music Festival have decided to postpone its Forest City event due to the continuing uncertainty surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. Festival spokesperson Jerry Krochak explained the decision.
It's just a little too soon to go. We're just following the guidelines that have been laid out for us. We think by moving to Labor Day weekend, it gives us a chance to, to put on the kind of world-class event that we want to. It's going to be a big first year for us in Iowa. Good things come to those who wait. We're going to wait a little longer. And
the festival was originally scheduled from June 12th to 14th, but now will take place September 4th through the 6th at Winnebago Park in Forest City. Have all been reconfirmed for the new date. All ticketing and camping options will be honored for the rescheduled dates. One of the things that impressed the organizers of Country Thunder was the Iowa spirit and willingness to work on getting the rescheduling done.
We've already seen, as soon as we made this announcement, we had all of our folks in Iowa calling saying, let us know what you need and let us know how we can help. We're in. That's America. That's what we've come to expect, and it's such a great feeling knowing that people, have your back when you go through this. And I think it's just an overall understanding of truly, and I know it's become a cliche, about that we're all in this together and everyone's working as if they believe that for sure.
Country Thunder Iowa is partnering with Families of the Fallen for the Forest City Festival. A portion of every ticket sold will directly benefit the nonprofit organization. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. May corn down 2 3/4 at 302 3/4. July down to 1 1/4 at 312. September up a quarter penny at 319 1/4. December up a half a cent at 330. May soybeans down 3 cents at 826. July down 4 1/2 at 832. August down 3 1/2 at 834 1/2. September down 2 1/4 at 835 1/2. May wheat closed up 5 3/4 at 526 3/4. Soybean meal down $3.50 a ton at $281.80. April live cattle up 72 cents at $85.52. June up 65 at $84.70. April feeder cattle down 77 cents at $119.62. May up 35 at $118.50. May lean hogs down 122 at $55.05. June up 92 cents at $56.20. July up 182 at 60 1/4. I am Dwayne Murley.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks giving up early gains and closing in the red as investors digest a slew of corporate earnings results, with the Dow falling 32 points, the Nasdaq down 122, S&P 500 down 15. An Alphabet parent of Google reporting quarterly results with revenue coming in better than Wall Street expectations with an earnings miss. Google's profits were damaged even more than expected as the coronavirus pandemic caused a significant slowdown in ad revenues. And Ford reporting a wider than expected first quarter loss and missed sales expectations as the pandemic continued to dampen demand for big ticket items and kept factories closed. And Boeing's 737 MAX jet is expected to remain grounded until at least August as the plane maker continues to grapple with software issues, according to Reuters. Its best-selling airplane has been grounded since March of 2019. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Guys, waking up over and over to pee is not okay. You can reduce those nighttime bathroom trips with the ingredients in Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced. You can try a full 30-day bottle free. Just pay shipping and handling. No strings attached, no obligations, and no commitments to buy. Call 1-800-460-0462. 1-800-460-0462. 1-800-460-0462.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor, brought to you by Riley Armstrong Plumbing and Heating. Plumbing emergencies don't usually happen during normal business hours, so Riley Armstrong is here for you 24/7. Call 955-2232. And the Fort Museum in Frontier Village, where history comes alive. Travel back in time and celebrate the heritage of Fort Dodge at the Fort Museum. Book your next special event at the Opera House, too. When severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. I have my PhD in Truth from the KVFD University. Joining me now is certainly the Councilman of Truth, and that's Andy Fritz. How are you doing, Andy?
Doing great, Mike, and yourself?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. It's such a beautiful day. The weather's great. We had a little rain, but that didn't bother me this morning. And we look to have a great week. As a matter of fact, I was just talking here a few minutes ago with Steve Peterson, one of our local farmers down by, Slifer, the beautiful downtown Slifer there. And he was talking to me about the great field conditions. He doesn't farm a lot of ground, but so he's already done planting. And, so he was real happy with the field conditions and the weather this year. It's just this little itty-bitty thing called the coronavirus that keeps screwing us up. Is the city doing anything in regard to coronavirus, Andy?
Nothing new, except we're looking at coming up here to start opening up based on the governor's recommendations. How are we going to do that? The public library is going to open up. They can open to 50% of capacity, and that's based on the fire department's occupation capacity. There will still be social distancing in place, but you're going to start seeing places open up like that.
Well, whatever we need to do to loosen up a little bit, I think is a great idea. I mean, nobody wants to get anybody sick with the coronavirus, for God's sake. The governor did not open up the entire state. She opened up 77 out of 99 counties, and she excluded the worst counties in the state, those with the highest incidence of the coronavirus, from any change in her original order at all, which is probably a good idea. Now, if you live in Cedar Rapids or Iowa City area, you're probably not agreeing with me, but this we still have to deal with this thing, and it's not going to go away. So there we go. Did we have a city council meeting last night?
Yes, we did.
And what happened at the council meeting, Andy?
Well, a couple of things. Big thing that really happened was the project at Armstrong Park, Isaac Walton Park. We're going to be doing some stormwater work down there, putting in, I guess, like a retention pond before the actual pond itself, Isaac Walton Pond. I don't know the technical term, but that pond gets a lot of runoff from the city streets, and all those pollutants go into the pond. By putting this retention pond in before the actual pond, a lot of those pollutants will settle. There'll be a sediment bed in there, and a lot of those pollutants will settle, and then cleaner water will then flow into the actual pond itself. It'll shrink the size of the pond a bit, but the water will be cleaner. The pond should be deeper after they do the excavation, dredging.
But I wonder if she'll let us back in the city parks.
To my knowledge, parks will be open, playgrounds and things like that still will be closed, and any kind of social gatherings, sporting events, things like that are still going to be held at the 10 people maximum.
I'm not that great about going to church, but I know it means a lot to a lot of people. And the churches, of course, they have to observe the social distance rules. So I don't know if they're going to be able to, I don't know if they're going to be able to open it as they wish to open it. In other words, there's going to be some people who are not going to be able to go to church. This may sound strange to some people, but I was wondering if it's possible that the churches could get together and we could talk with the school district and the city and see if we could have services at Dodger Stadium. A Catholic service first thing in the morning, Methodist, Presbyterian, right on down the line. I don't know if that's a solution to the problem or not, but I know a lot of people, especially older people, they're really going to church every Sunday means a lot to them. And growing up a Catholic, I know the Catholic Church has changed its opinion a little bit, but they still want to see you go to Mass every Sunday with certain reservations, like the coronavirus, of course. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I grew up Catholic, and by God, if you didn't go to church on Sunday morning, you thought you were going to hell.
Oh, my mom knew I was gonna. So,
I did see. I haven't read the article yet, but on the front page of the Register's website, that the Iowa Catholic bishops are not lifting the suspension on going to Mass yet. So it sounds like
they haven't even done it yet.
No, they're not going to lift it. So.
Well, that's fine, but people are going to have to take care of themselves. That's all there is to it. I mean, that's all there is to that. But anyway, the thing is to how to get people to church. As many as we can. We can't have people crammed in there. I have a feeling that just because of this, the governor's lifting restrictions a little bit, especially as far as going to church attendance of any kind, that there'll be a lot of folks trying to head to church this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure there will, and I think it's going to be tough for the individual churches. I mean, how do you tell somebody you can't come to church?
Well, that's what I'm trying to avoid. I think we should get our heads together on this somehow. That's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Sorry, we're full. That really doesn't sound like a thing we can do, but I don't know. I don't know how the ministers and the priests would feel about this, or the city or the school at all.
Right, and I wouldn't want to knock any individual faith or sector of Christianity, but even if you like you said with Dodger Stadium, if you could just have a faith gathering where it's not particularly Lutheran, Protestant, Catholic, whatever, but it would allow people to get together and share their faith that way.
Yeah, we can be creative with this. I mean, one of the worst things is I know for a lot of people, is having to sit home on Sunday morning. I mean, when the routine of a lot of families is go to church and then go to a restaurant afterwards, and we haven't been able to do that for a while. So, again, we still have to have the social distancing. I don't know what the restaurant's plans are. The bars apparently still can't open. But as long as you have a place where that serves food, then you're in. So anything else happen at the council meeting that we need to know about, Andy?
We voted to give some land. I don't want to say give. We sold some land to Amigos for $1. It's the land that they have been using for the last number of years for their volleyball courts. We finally fulfilled the lease with them, and so we sold that land directly to them for $1. So now that will be their property right along the riverfront. We also sold another chunk of property that they have been using for a parking lot for like for bike nights and things like that. Just up the hill from Amigos, we sold that to them as well. So that was kind of a big deal. We did have some concerns from one citizen for sure that by giving away that property or selling that property for that price, that we were limiting the citizens of Fort Dodge and their ability to access the riverfront. But Terry Minke and Kim Allstott pointed out that that chunk of land is so steep and so overgrown with ivy that it's not a good access point to the river anyway.
Well, I know what I've been down to Amigos plenty of times. The bike nights and all that sort of thing, and I was going down there when Gene Lemon had it, for God's sake. I know exactly what piece of ground you're talking about. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know who else would want it besides Mark, frankly.
Right.
Anything else that went on at the council meeting?
Not really. Paid a lot of bills, for like the fire station work that's been going on there with their addition. Hired the architect to look at the second addition for the firehouse. Really, that was it. It wasn't too big of a council meeting by any means.
We're not going to have too big of a council meeting either.
No.
Well, listen, Andy, if that's what happened, that's what happened. So thanks for being on with us.
Not a problem, Mike. I appreciate being on.
Yeah, take care, buddy.
All right. Bye.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
On this edition of the Iowa Business Report.
And our estimate is somewhere in the range of 350,000 jobs that were retained thanks to this program.
The money quickly ran out. More to come, though. We'll discuss the role of Iowa's bankers during the pandemic. The spring and summer calendar looks far different than we had planned not long ago. And we'll hear about one company whose business has been booming lately. This is the Iowa Business Report for the fourth weekend of April 2020.
The Iowa Business Report is presented with support from the Iowa Association of Business and Industry. The Iowa Association of Business and Industry has been the voice of Iowa business since 1903. Learn more online at iowaabi.org. Here is Jeff Stein.
The numbers are hard to comprehend. Those who have lost their jobs due to the coronavirus outbreak. And while all businesses are suffering, small businesses are traditionally working closer to the margin in good times, much less during an unexpected economic downturn like this. Congress passed and the president signed the CARES Act, which pumped $2.2 trillion into the U.S. economy, from direct payments to citizens to forgivable loans to small businesses. That original Paycheck Protection Program fund of $350 billion was anticipated to last a period of months. Instead, it lasted only a period of days. Thursday of this past week, the U.S. House approved a bill passed 2 days before by the U.S. Senate, providing another $321 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program, as well as $60 billion in economic disaster loans for small businesses. The bill was signed into law by the president on Friday. Those government programs, just one part of the efforts provided by Iowa banks during the pandemic. I spoke recently with John Sorensen, president and CEO of the Iowa Bankers Association, about those ongoing efforts. We connected via Zoom shortly after the original money ran out.
Our industry early on recognized that because we're so inextricably tied to our small businesses on Main Street, we needed to work as hard and diligently as we could to get these dollars to them as quickly as possible. We believe that was the intent of Congress, and we believe that was in the best interests of our small business customers. I will tell you, Jeff, it was not without challenges. This is a portal or a pipeline that is used to putting about $30 billion of SBA loans out every year. That's annually. We've now had approvals for $350 billion of loans. And in Iowa alone, over 22,000 loans to small businesses were approved, totaling about $3.7 billion. And if you think about that, now what's the purpose of the Paycheck Protection Program? It's to protect jobs for individuals and for Iowans. And our estimate is somewhere in the range of 350,000 jobs that were retained thanks to this program. We obviously can't take the credit. This was a program that was designed by our members of Congress, but banks played a key role in making sure it worked. This program seemed to work better for some of our small businesses than it did for others. Self-employed, sole proprietorships came in towards the end of the program, and